Hey, what it do, sports world? It's me again. The Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs, is here, y'all. Where passion meets performance and champions are made. I'm your host, Ray Diggs, bringing you the energy, the insight, and the mindset from across the world of sports. From the locker rooms to the big stage, this is where the real ones talk and legends rise, and the motto stays the same. Winners will always win. The Winner Circle podcast with me, Ray Diggs. We are here and we ain't going nowhere. Make sure y'all tune in because we're about to go live now. Peace. Hey, what it do, sports world, and welcome to the Winner Circle podcast, man, with me, Ray Diggs, man. Great segment tonight, man. We want to talk about 8-4A and 8-3A high school football in Arkansas as Darnell defeated Warren. Stuttgart slowed down. Them and Kane Price are slowed down by a very good Elkins defense. Elkins team goes in there and beats Stuttgart. And Fordyce, the Red Bugs, are heading to Little Rock for another state championship. Man, before I go started, man, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. And make sure y'all, if you guys got any questions or anything you want to discuss, make sure you just put it in the comment section. The comment section is up here on the screen, so I'm looking at it right now. So, hey, Warren Darnell. Oh, man, dude. The game was just how I predicted it would be. I feel like Warren made key mistakes. And I think that something came back and haunt Warren that I said would most likely come back and haunt him in the end. Debt. I think that their debt, they didn't have the debt like Darnell had. And I think in the second half of that game, it pretty much came back to haunt them because you can tell that the fatigue starts to kick in. And I tell everybody, man, when fatigue kicks in, it's muscle memory. You start to forget things. You start to act like, and when fatigue and cold, it just don't mix. And that's why I think some of the things that were happening against Warren, that's why they was happening. You kick the ball off and they forget to jump on it, or things like that right there. From that nature, that right there is more like fatigue. So, but Warren came into this matchup, man, with Darnell, man, with momentum, confidence, and belief that they could slow down Creed Vega. Now I'm gonna tell you something. To beat Darnell, you have to stop. I'm not gonna say you have to shut him down. You just have to slow him down. And I don't think they had any answer for Creed Vega as he rushed for, I think, close to 300 yards with, I think, about 7 touchdowns. Creed Vega took over to pretty much the second half. I feel like the kid went to his father and said, "Dad, give me the ball. I'm taking over this game." And that's exactly what he did. You got to give it up to Darnell. You got to give them respect. You got to give them and they earned my respect because they defeated not only one, not two, but 3 8-4A team. And I think 8-4A was the hardest conference. Started off with Hamburg. Then they played against Monticello. Then they beat Warren. So they beat 3 8-4A teams. And I think that right there is something that you got to be proud of, because I think that when you beat that many good teams, you are battle tested. Now they're going to face against a really good Elkins team, as Elkins went down there and pretty much slowed down, stopped, and dominated Stuttgart down there in Stuttgart. So now it's really set up a rematch for me from these two teams. And I think the rematch is going to be must-see TV. I think that these two teams right here was built for this type of game. Really good defenses. Both of them got probably maybe like almost the same type of offenses. The only difference is Creed Vega, he runs the ball. If he feel like, in the second half, give the ball to me. If I got to run it 30 times, I'm going to do it. And that's exactly what he did against Warren. That's basically what he did in the first game against this. It was a defensive battle the first game between Elkins and Darnell. The game ended up being 14-10. I will say I went back and I watched that game. Elkins had a lot of chances to win this game. Actually, Elkins had a wide open touchdown, but the quarterback overthrew it. And if that kid catches the ball, he scores. And that right there was like in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. So it was a lot of things that Elkins did in the first matchup with Darnell. I think that they need if they can capitalize on this in the second matchup, then they can possibly win the championship. But it's going to be hard with Creed Vega leading this team. This kid right here, one thing I can say about him, the kid is tough. I seen him at times. He was down, he was injured, he was hurt, but well, I ain't gonna say he was injured, he was hurt, but he still stayed in the game and went out there and made sure that his team was not gonna lose this game. Um, and I think that right there what it was. Warren had flashes early. They controlled it early. Warren came out, scored. Then Darnell went down and scored. But I will say this right here. I went back and I watched that game again today. Warren, this right here was one of the worst tackling games that I've ever seen. Actually, I seen two bad games this weekend when it comes down to tackling. One was this Warren versus Darnell game. Two was the Greenwood versus Shiloh Christian game. These right here was two games where I watched. It was pretty much horrible tackling. And this right here is why I say you have to come into these games. You have to hit Creed Vega. You have to. It's a must. If you don't, he's going to make you pay. And if you don't wrap up right, he's going to make you pay. And that's exactly what he did. Darnell's second half they was elite. I got to say, man, this team right here. And one thing about me, I did post. I don't like the way Creed Vega. I don't rate Coach Vega, but I will give the man credit. The man's second half adjustments is elite. The man can adjust. The man can coach. You got to give respect where respect is due. And I'm going to give him his respect. Even though I don't like some of the things he do, that's aside. But coaching, the dude have his team prepared. And he make the second half adjustments. Just like he did against Hamburg. Same thing he did against Monticello. And then he does the same thing. He does the same thing against Warren. Their second half adjustments was elite. They came out of halftime with answers, and everything Warren was doing defensively, they tightened up. Offensively, they hit another gear. That's basically what happened. Came out there in the second half. Warren might score maybe one time, and that right there was pretty much it. They dominated the rest of the second half with Creed Vega's legs and also a good defensive plan. I will say this right here. I'm a man. One thing I will say is this. If I say something wrong, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna correct myself. I went back and I watched that play, the interception, when Jackson Denton was throwing it to Josiah Steen. That wasn't a pass interference. That right there was actually the ball was thrown in the wrong place. Not the bash the kid, but the ball was thrown behind. And that's how the cornerback got the interception. He turned his body and caught the interception. If the ball was thrown out if the ball was put in the correct position, then Josiah Steen would have caught that and most likely probably would have scored. But that aside, but I just wanted to say I was wrong. It wasn't a pass interference. It was actually a good play by the cornerback. So Warren is a young team, man. No matter, yes, they running back is leaving. Yes, they got Blaze is leaving. And man, I just want to say this, man. Blaze, that dude right there. I don't know who's recruiting him. I don't know where he's going to college. I don't know, do he want to go to college? But I will say this, man. This kid right here, if he put a little meat on his bone, put a little meat on his body, I guarantee this kid right here is an elite wide receiver. He's elite. The kid can play football. That's one thing about it. And the one thing that I did not like is I don't like that he played corner, that he played safety and all this other stuff. I think that this kid right here is a wide receiver. He's a wide out. And I think that honestly hits him trying to tackle Creed Vega started taking a toll on him in the later part of the game. I could tell. I rewatched the game today, and I think that in the later parts, trying to tackle Creed Vega, it started to take a toll on him. But I expect for Warren to be back again next season. I know this for a fact. Bo Hembry is going to be there. Jackson Denton is going to come back. Josiah Steen, I think he's going to be better. Tayshaun Edwards, I think he's going to be better. They're going to have a two-headed monster at wide receiver. And you know Warren, one thing they do, they're going to find a third wide out. They're going to find a running back. So I expect for this team right here to be one of the top teams in 8-4A and the state again next season. Actually, I'm going to talk about it maybe in the next couple of weeks on the 3 or 4 teams that I think heading into next season, they have the best chance to take 8-4A. But we'll talk about that right there sometime next week. But Stuttgart and Elkins, this right here was the shocker. A lot of people had already put Steph Guard. A lot of people had already, actually a dude on my social media had already bought his tickets. He said, I already know Stuttgart is already in the state championship game. Well, I told him, you can sell those tickets to me because you won't need them. Because this right here was the shock of the night. When I say Elkins came out and played a perfect game, shout out to my boy B. B called this right here. He said Elkins ain't no pushover. We didn't think they was a pushover, but we just felt like a lot of us felt like Stuttgart was just the better team. I thought that Stuttgart was the better team because you got Kane Price. When you got a quarterback, you already know you got the advantage. But I've been saying this all season that Stuttgart, yes, they are a really good team. But the one thing that I hated about Stuttgart is this. I think that their receiver dropped a lot of passes. I said this right here when they played against Hamburg. I said this right here when they played against Warren. They dropped a lot of passes. Here they were dropping a lot of passes even against Crossy. Not saying they need it. They can do that against Crossy because, of course, it's Crossy. So, but against you cannot drop it. Stuttgart came out. They got the ball first, which I think that was a bad decision. I think that they should have kicked it off to Elkins just to see what Elkins got on the offensive side, so you will know what you need to do. They came out on the offensive side and they had to punt it on that first drive. I think the game was over with after that because I think that after that first drive, Stuttgart pretty much was dominated for the rest of the night. Elkins pretty much played their game. They drove the ball down the field. There's no up tempo, nothing flashy about their offense. They run the ball and they're gonna, quarterback gonna roll out. They move their quarterback around a lot. That's one thing I say. That's one thing that I really wanted Hamburg to do is move their quarterback around a lot. But Elkins does that. They move their quarterback around to make him throw, make him move the pocket. That's what I was trying to say. Move the pocket, and it kept Stuttgart off guard all night. Elkins the more physical team. Elkins defense played the game of their life. They tackled in space. They stayed disciplined. They refused to give up explosive plays, and that's how you beat a team that's dynamic like Fordyce. I mean, like Stuttgart. The momentum. Kane Price was bottled up all night. They pretty much bottled this man up all night. Not because he played bad, but because Elkins made him uncomfortable all night. They won the line of scrimmage, forced long downs, and never allowed Stuttgart to get into a rhythm. That's all you have to do. You have to keep him off rhythm. Make him uncomfortable. Even when he scramble around, you run around with him. And then once he throws an incomplete pass, guess what? That makes you tired. You see what I'm saying? That makes you tired. See, when he's running around and he's throwing passes and they're catching them, it gives you more energy. But when you're running around and you're throwing passes and they go incomplete after you just ran back 20 yards, and then you trying to come up and you throw a pass and your receiver drops it, or it's an incomplete pass, that's that fatigue. Like, man, dude, oh my God, how many more times I got to do this? Yes, you got to do that all night. But Elkins did not allow him to do what he'd been supernova. They did not allow him to go supernova like he did against everybody else. They did not allow him to be Superman Kane Price. They allowed him to be just be Kane Price. And that's good enough for a team like Elkins to beat them. Because if Kane Price ain't going out there running around and throwing all types of crazy passes and being like, he reminds me of Diego Pava for Vanderbilt, or Johnny Manziel, one of those smaller quarterbacks, but they just always running around and making the defense tired. Elkins defense did not get tired not one time that night. And that's why I say Elkins, this team right here is built for December. They just built for it. The momentum stayed with Elkins from the opening drive. We just said every big play, every third down, every stop, it went their way. They controlled the tempo, they controlled the emotions, and they took control of this game from that first drive all the way up until the end of the game. And like I said, Darnell earned their spot in the state championship game. Elkins earned their spot. But Warren and Stuttgart, they'll be back. That's facts. I guarantee you these two teams will be back. We was talking about it on Seahawks Sports podcast the other day. Me and Coach Jig, we were saying, I bet you any kind of money that Kane Price is already preparing for this summer. This is one of the most important summers for Kane Price. I think that his dad, they're going to get together and they're going to figure this thing out. 7-on-7 this summer. I think he's going to get stronger. I think he's going to get faster. And I think that he's going to come back next season with vengeance. Because guess what, y'all? The same thing happened to Creed Vega last season when Darnell went home. He came back bigger this season. Guess what? That's the same thing I think Kane Price is going to do. That's the same thing I think JoJo is going to do from Monticello. Same thing I think Josiah Steen and Tayshawn Edwards and Jackson Den. I think Jackson Den is going to come back even better. He came off a very serious leg injury. So I think that it took him maybe half of the season to really pretty much get back comfortable with playing football. But I think the kid is going to come back next season, and he's going to be ready. I think with his weapons on that outside, with Bo Henry at the ends, these two teams right here, they're going to be right back. Stuttgart is going to be here. I think they got there. It's a lot of players on their defense that's going to return. I think that Kane Price is going to get with his receivers. I think they're going to be better. They got a few players moving up to from junior high to high school. I seen one of their running backs. I'm going to get the kid's name, but they got a kid moving up from running back from junior high. I think that kid right there got a chance to make a lot of noise next season. And they also, Ross, their starting running back, he'll be returning next season. So, man, this team right here these two teams here is going to be loaded heading into next season. And Darnell is losing a lot. They losing their star. So they're losing Creed Vega, so they're going to have to regroup, but they got a big team. So I'm pretty sure they got somebody on that bench. They're going to get better at the quarterback position, but he probably won't be Creed Vega. Okay. And then the last one, man, Fordyce dominant. I did not see that one coming. I thought it would be a more close game. The score says one thing, but when you watching it, you see what's really happening. Fordyce dominated that game from the opening kick. And I think that Fordyce pretty much came out and did what a lot of us knew that they would do. I said it early in the week when I posted the status. I think the Lake Village loss reopened their focus. They thought that, they started the season with dominating victories. They was dominating everybody. Then you got a team like Lake Village that comes in and beat them. And then guess what? Now you have to reevaluate everything. Not reevaluate, but you have to look at it like, okay, we can be beat. We need to refocus. Everybody ain't going to be scared of us. And every time we step off that bus, we got to understand that it's an opportunity. And that's what I think Fordyce did, because after that, they dominated everybody. I'm not saying by score, because they wasn't scoring 80 and 90 points, but they was dominating with their defensive line. Vincent Stroud, shout out to Vincent Stroud, man. The kid, like I said, him and number 54, they can wreck an entire game with their defensive line. Okay. And then they just got that aura, man. They got that aura about them. When I say this team right here comes out, yeah, so my boy said they had a good game plan, a good defensive game plan. They definitely did. They had a perfect game plan. They knew what Boonville wanted to do. What Boonville wanted to do was they want to come out there and they're going to run their fullback. They're going to run number 35. Number 35 dominated the first drive. I can't remember seeing him after that. I'm being honest with you, because Fordyce dominated him. And Fordyce, every now and then, I think that Fordyce, honestly, they can beat you in different ways. A lot of people look at them at their running game, Michael Gamble, with him running the football. But I think that if you allow Cadillac to throw, they're even more dangerous when they put that ball in the air. And that's something that Fordyce normally don't do. But when you got a quarterback like Cadillac back there throwing the rock, you can do that. And I think, with Stroud out there at wide out, this kid right here is just, if you give him the ball in space, he's a big play waiting to happen. All you have to do is just give him the ball in space. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, the defensive coaches, y'all better stop trying to guard him one-on-one, because y'all can honestly see that it's hard to guard him. He's shifty, he's fast. Like, the kid really is a baller, man. If he just get the ball into his hand, hey, he can dominate any game. He can turn any game upside down. And that's the one thing that I like about this Fordyce team, is they can beat you different ways. But their defensive line is one of the most dominant that I've seen. I said, man, listen, Fordyce probably got one of the best defense I've seen in 2A, 3A, and 4A. Out of all of those teams, out of all of those conferences, Fordyce probably got one of the best defensive lines, one of the most dominant defensive lines that I've seen. When I say they defensive ends dominates games, wreck games, that's exactly what they do. And to go along with that smash mouth football that they do down there at Fordyce, that's why we're set up with a hell of a championship between them and the Mansfield Tigers. Now, the Mansfield is going to come into this game. We know they're undefeated. Mansfield has dominated everybody. but they ain't played against nobody like Fordyce, I don't feel. I think that Fordyce got a really good chance to win this game. Now, when we talk about Fordyce versus Manfield, Fordyce and Manfield, Fordyce didn't stumble into Little Rock. They fought their way there. That loss to Lake Village early in the season, a blessing in disguise. Fordyce, they refocused, cleaned up details, and rediscovered the physical brand of football that defines Red Bull country. Cadillac, that's the engine that keeps this offense moving right there. It's Cadillac Ellison, the young sophomore. This kid right here, like I said, I don't know what type of injury he got because I'm not there. I'm not in there. But I will say this right here, man. This kid right here sucked it up for his team. That's right there. It's hard. That's right there. It's the heart of a young football player that wants to win. Hey, man, shout out to Cadillac. And then their physicality up front. Fordyce's identity have always been in the trenches. If they win the line of scrimmage, Manfield is in trouble. This is where Fordyce sets the tone early. And it is. This is exactly what Fordyce set the tone. They set the tone by dominating the line of scrimmage. They're gonna dominate the line of scrimmage. What you want to do? You want to run? I'm gonna be honest. If Manfield can run it against Fordyce, that's I'm gonna tell you, it's hard to run it against Fordyce. If they cannot run it against Fordyce, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. And I'm gonna be honest, I've watched Manfield. Manfield is a really good, very good physical football team. And I think that this right here is one of the most even matchup games that I've seen in a very long time. And for the people out there that's saying that Fordyce don't have a chance because of what Manfield has done all season, just go take a look at what Shiloh Christian did to Greenwood. Nobody expected for Shiloh Christian to come out there and put a beat down, including myself. I did not expect for Shiloh Christian to come out there. I expect for Shiloh Christian to wet the bed. That's exactly what I expected from them to do, like they always do. Like the time they met against Parkview in the state championship, I expect for them to go out there and wet the bed. But they came out there. When I say this right here was a team that wanted to win, this is the same mindset that I think Fordyce is going to have to come out there and play with. If they can come out there and play with it, everybody flying to the ball, making tackles, I think that this team right here got an amazing chance to beat this Manfield team. And also, Manfield is the type of team that punish mistakes. Fordyce can't afford penalties, turnovers, or a slow start in the championship game. This team looks locked in, though. The confidence is real, and Fordyce knows what it takes to win when the lights are the brightest. I can honestly say this: Fordyce knows what to do when the light is bright. When those lights turn on, whether it's those LED lights at Fordyce at Paul Bear Bryant Stadium or the lights up there in Little Rock War Memorial Stadium, when the lights goes on, this team knows what to do. This team knows how to play December football, and I think that this team right here is locked in. They're confident. They're ready. They're prepared. I was looking on I've been looking on Instagram today. I seen that they already arrived in Little Rock. So that tells me that Coach Rogers really wants his team to be focused throughout the week. No school. These teams right here prepared all week to get ready for this state championship game. They already in Little Rock at War Memorial Stadium. They had their first practice today. I can confirm that because I seen it. Ellison Film posted it. These boys already arriving at War Memorial Stadium preparing for the state championship game. That's right there. We got to commend these boys for that, man. Hey, I love it. I'm glad. And I think that they're ready. I think that this team right here is going to be ready. Manfield, they're the Tigers. The final test. Manfield it was not a fluke. They are fundamentally sound. They don't beat themselves, and they strive on capitalizing when a team breaks down. They've earned the right to be here. They have. Shout out to Mansfield. They have earned the right to be here. They have a very disciplined defense. Mansfield don't panic. They don't over pursue. They doesn't give it up. They don't give up easy explosive plays. They focus. They force teams to drive the field, and that's where they strike. They ain't flashy. They ain't no flashy offense. You know what I'm saying? This right here is going to be a very tempo offense. This right going to be a very slow tempo offense between two teams that going to huddle up every play and just going to drive the ball down the field. So what do that tells me? That tells me that Fordyce have to capitalize every time they have the ball. Because when you got two running teams, it's kind of like them against Boonville. When you got two teams that runs the ball a lot, the possessions are going to be limited. So that right there mean that you might get 6 possessions a game, 7, maybe. Now in 8-4A, you might get 10, 12 possessions because both teams are scoring up and down the field. We got basketball scores. But in these teams, in 3A, 8-3A, in 4, I mean in 3A, they don't they're limited when it comes down to possessions. So this tells me that these two teams are gonna have to capitalize when they get down there in the red zone. They're gonna have to capitalize with touchdowns. I don't think field goals are gonna win this championship. I think it's gonna have to be. I think it's gonna have to be touchdowns that win this. Manfield has shown all postseason that they can handle pressure. They don't fold. They don't blink. Now, the one game that they did that they was in, that was a close game. They did show They did show composure, and they came out there in the second half and dominated. Now, Fordyce have to be. They have to, like I said, and Fordyce can honestly. They got the type of team that can keep them off the field because Fordyce gets a lot of first downs by running the ball. I think that if Fordyce play keep away, I'm not saying that's what they have to do, but Fordyce with a defense like they got, I think that this game right here could possibly be maybe in the low 20s, maybe 20s. Whoever wins this game, you score 20, you possibly can win this game. The only high scoring game that Fordyce has had really was what? Charleston. I think Charleston was the hardest team that they faced, honestly. And I told this right here to the coach. Shout out to coach. I said that Charleston was the hardest team that Fordyce had faced all season. Honestly, I feel like they was the best team that they done faced. Because I think that Charleston pushed Fordyce to a point where, and that's why I think Fordyce is here now. I think they're here now because of Charleston. I think Charleston was one of the most, I guess because Charleston, their offense was like, it was hard for Fordyce to stop. Mansfield offense was easy for them to stop. They knew where they was going to be at. The same thing with Boonville's offense. It was predictable. So Mansfield would probably be the best team, would probably be the first or second best team that Fordyce has seen all season. This right here is going to be a hell of a game. Who wins this game? This is where the titles is won, in the trenches. It's going to come down to offensive line versus defensive line. Fordyce's defensive line versus Manfield's offensive line. If Fordyce's defensive line can dominate like they've been dominating all season, it's going to be a long night for Manfield's running back. I do believe that. If Fordyce dominates the line, Cadillac take over. If Manfield holds their ground, they got a 4-quarter war. I think they can win this game if they can make it uncomfortable for Cadillac, get back there, hit him a couple times, get him off target. But you still got to stop those two-headed monsters at running back. If you can do all that right there, now that's a tall task. Manfield's they got a really good chance to win this game. Fordyce can score. Manfield can score. Fordyce like to bleed the clock, force long drives. Whoever forces the other into uncomfortable situations, that's who's going to win this game. Big time players, in big time moments. Championship comes down to stars making plays when it matters. Fordyce has them. Manfield had them. It's about who delivers when the game is tight. Man, I can see right now, man. I'm gonna tell you something. To be honest with you, I can see right now. I can see Stroud. I can see Stroud catching a screenplay, taking it to the crib, late in the game. Or I can see Michael Gamble busting a long one, jumping over somebody, or eluding being elusive and breaking out for a long 40-yard touchdown to win the game. I can see Manfield running back doing the same thing. I can see Manfield breaking out for a long run late in the game to win this game as well. It's going to come down to discipline. This is a game of old-fashioned Arkansas football at its finest. Toughness, execution, and heart. Fordyce is playing its best ball at the perfect time, but Manfield is the kind of disciplined team that won't hand you anything. No matter what, the matchup will be a battle. Fordyce, Manfield, 2 programs, 1 trophy. This is what it's all about, y'all. Fordyce, I think that what Fordyce have to do is they just got to play Fordyce football. Fordyce is coming into this 13-1. They're 6-1 in conference. They've scored over 460 points. They've only allowed 152 points this year. They beat Boonville 18-13 in the semifinals to get here. Michael Gamble, the junior running back, averaging over 120 some yards a game, and Jamarcus Crowd Jr. coming in averaging close to 40 yards receiving a game. This right here is a team right here, like I said, they're built. Then you look at Mansfield. Mansfield is coming in undefeated, 13-0. Mansfield has posted at least 31 points in each of their seven in all their last 7 games, at least 31 points. Undefeated record heading into the championship games. They're a very consistent team, very resilient under pressure. This right here is going to be a hell of a game. This is going to be a big game. I think that Mansfield, they got everything that they need to be successful. Will they win the game? I don't know. Fordyce, this team right here they've been dominant all season. I'm not gonna pick a winner. I won't pick a winner, but I'm going for Fordyce. Okay. Let's see what my boy Arsenio Hill is sub with you, bro. He says Stroud and Gamble, man. They electric. Yeah, them boys are electric, bro. They are. They really are electric, man. I enjoy watching them, man. Especially Michael Gamble, man. He it's like as the game goes, it's like as the game continues to go, the deeper it gets into the game, he gets stronger. And that's right there what I like about Michael Gamble, man. I like it. But I think, man, bro, I'm gonna tell you, I think it's gonna come down to that defensive line. If Fordyce defensive line can dominate the game the way they did against Boonville, the way they did against Charleston, the way they did against Mansfield, not Mansfield, Mayflower. I think that this game right here, that can possibly win this game for them. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When I was watching Shiloh Christian against Greenwood, that is the number one thing that they did. They made it uncomfortable for Kane Archer. Kane Archer was running for his life damn near all night. Now, sometimes he was eluding them, but they had him running around. By the third quarter, this kid right here was gassed. Now, Mansfield is coming with a little bit different of a game plan because they are a running team. So I expect for it to be a little bit different. Looking at Mansfield, like I said, they was 13-0, 7-0 in conference. They have a receiver, a freshman. He's averaging 54 yards a game. They got another kid, Travis Gilmore. He averages 22 yards a game. The leading rusher, they say right here that he averaging 30 yards a game. I don't know if that's true, but they just coming up off a big win against Bismarck, beating the brakes off of Bismarck, and I was surprised by that, beating them 48-22. They beat them 50-21. That was Bismarck, and then the week before they beat Salem. They beat Salem 48-22. So these are the two. This is what Mansfield has done to the two of the best teams in the state. It's 4 teams. I feel like this right here was a 4-man race from the start. It was Mansfield, Salem, Bismarck, and Fordyce. These was the 4 best teams. Now, Mansfield has dominated 2 of the 4 teams. So if this team goes out there and beat Fordyce, they really earned this. If Fordyce come out here and beat them, they really earned this right here. They earned this championship. This championship here is going to be earned from either of these teams. And like I said before, man, I think this right here is going to be a hell of a game. If I had to pick, if I was a betting man, I would go with Fordyce. I think Fordyce defense is just too dominant. I think that as long as they don't make the critical mistakes, as long as they don't get undisciplined, as long as they don't miss the tackles, like one was missing, I think that this right here is going to be a hell of a game. I think this right here is going to be a really good game. But the Elkins versus Darnell game is going to be, I think that's going to be a heavyweight match. That's going to be it's going to be a heavyweight bout between 2 teams that deserves to be here. I think that Elkins is going to get their revenge. Even though I don't care who wins, both of these teams are deserving of winning, but you can only get one winner. But hey, congratulations to all the teams that made it to the semifinals. Congratulations to Elkins and Darnell, also Mansfield and Fordyce on making it to Little Rock, the state championship game. It's going to be a big game. this Saturday. If y'all can make it, get up there to Little Rock, go up there and watch some amazing football. I think Fordyce might play. I think Fordyce plays at 12:30, and then Fordyce plays at 12:30, and then Darnell and Elkins plays in the nightcap at 6 o'clock. So man, if you can make it, if you're in that area, go up there, support them. Also, man, before I get off here, man, I want to just say, man, shout out to the boys over there, my fellas over there at CR Sports, man. If y'all don't know, go over there, look at their go over there, like their stuff. Actually, I think they're at a Rising game, basketball game, right? If y'all into high school basketball in Arkansas, Southeast Arkansas, go over there, like their statuses, man. Like their post, they actually shining light on high school basketball, on high school sports in general, man. High school, they did it in high school football. Now they'll continue to do it right now in high school basketball. So man, make sure y'all go over there. Like I said, CARK Sports, CSEA ARK Sports. Over there, go over there, like them, subscribe to their channels, their Facebook, their Instagram, the YouTube. Yeah, man, go over there. They're doing a great job over there at CARK Sports, man. Shout out to y'all over there, man. Continue to do great things. Also, man, my boy over there, let's be careful with this. Go over there and like his page as well, man. Let's shoot up his likes and shoot up his subscribers, man. Because he do a great job as well over there at his podcast as well. So make sure y'all go over there and like that. Also, Ellison Films, man, I appreciate it, because I wanted to know, did Fordyce get to Little Rock today? Well, you posted it and I saw it, so I'm pretty much know that for a fact that they are in Little Rock. Also, man, sometime this week I'm gonna see if I can get Vincent Stroud on the podcast, man. Seeking to see where he come on and give us a little insight on the state championship game as they get ready to play against Mansfield. But hey, man, thank y'all again, man, for continuing to support. Thank y'all for everything y'all do. And hey, we're gonna continue to do it, man. This thing gonna only get bigger. I'm telling you, it's gonna only get bigger, man. It ain't no stopping right now, man. But hey, thank y'all again for listening to another great segment of the Winner Circle Podcast with me, Ray Diz. Until next time, y'all have a great Tuesday night. And even though I'm tired, I still made sure that I got this podcast in. It's been a crazy week. It's gonna be a crazy week. This right here is what we do. Hey, so make sure y'all be safe out there. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs, man. Make sure y'all do the right thing. And thank y'all for listening to the Winner Circle Podcast with me, Ray Diz. Until next time, peace.